2,000 kilometers from Ukraine, international waters in the Mediterranean Sea, a Russian oil tanker, and Ukraine's security service. What happened next is being called spiderweb on water, and it's changing everything we thought we knew about the reach of this war. Welcome to the War Update. Today, how Ukraine struck Russia's shadow fleet 2,000 kilometers from home, why Moscow's spy ships are hiding in plain sight, and what a GRU general was doing on an oil tanker in the Mediterranean. This is Operation Spiderweb on Water, and it's just the beginning. December 2025. The tanker Qendil is moving through neutral waters in the Mediterranean Sea, Russian-linked, part of what Western intelligence calls the Shadow Fleet, vessels Moscow uses to evade sanctions. But Qendil isn't carrying oil. The ship is empty, which should have been the first red flag. Why is an oil tanker, supposedly in the business of transporting oil, sailing empty through the Mediterranean? Ukraine's security service wanted to know the answer, and they decided to ask directly. Ukrainian aerial drones, not sea drones, aerial, over 2,000 kilometers from Ukrainian territory, in international waters. The operation was surgical. The Qendil was hit and critically damaged, unable to function as intended. But because the tanker was empty, there was no ecological disaster, no oil spill in the Mediterranean. Let that sink in for a moment. Ukraine just conducted a precision strike operation 2,000 kilometers from its borders. That's roughly the distance from London to Athens, from New York to Miami. The SBU's reach just got a lot longer. According to sources within the security service, the justification was clear. Russia used this tanker to circumvent sanctions and generate money for the war against Ukraine. Under international law and the customs of war, that makes it a legitimate military target. But there's more to this story, because empty oil tankers don't usually carry VIPs, unless they're not really oil tankers. Just before the Qendil strike, CNN published an investigation based on Western and Ukrainian intelligence sources, and what they found explains exactly why Ukraine targeted an empty tanker. Russia's shadow fleet isn't just transporting oil anymore. It's become a spy network. These vessels, officially registered in third countries, crewed by people from Asia, are increasingly being used for reconnaissance and sabotage operations in European waters. They're not carrying cargo. They're carrying Russian intelligence operatives. Western intelligence noticed a pattern. Extra crew members showing up on these tankers, Russian citizens, backgrounds in military and security services, some linked to private military companies, including former Wagner Group personnel. At the center of this operation, Moran Security Group, a private security company with deep ties to Russian military and intelligence. Founded in 2009, its former executives, Yevhen Sidorov and Vadim Gusev, helped establish the Slavonic Corps, which later evolved into Wagner Group. The current president of Moran Security, Vyacheslav Kalashnikov, former FSB lieutenant colonel. The U.S. Treasury sanctioned Moran Security in 2024. They knew what was happening. These aren't just security guards on oil tankers. These are intelligence operatives using commercial shipping as cover. CNN documented a specific case, the tanker Boracay. Changed its name multiple times, changed its flag. In September 2025, 2 Russians boarded in the port of Primorsk, listed in documents as technicians. Ukrainian intelligence identified them. One had served in the police and worked with Wagner Group. The other had connections to Russia's Ministry of Defense. The Boracay sailed near Danish coasts during a period when Denmark was experiencing mysterious drone flights over airports and military facilities. Coincidence? The French military later stopped and inspected the vessel. They questioned the two Russians, and then let them go. Putin himself commented on that incident, called it piracy, claimed Russia had nothing to do with the ship, said there couldn't possibly be drones on board. Right. Former FSB officers, Wagner connections, sailing past military bases during drone incidents, but no connection to Russia whatsoever. This is why the Qendil operation matters. Ukraine isn't just hitting oil transport. They're dismantling a spy network disguised as commercial shipping. Western intelligence sources told CNN they've documented cases where these additional crew members photographed European military installations from these vessels. Oil tankers became floating surveillance platforms. Russia thought they'd found the perfect cover. Who'd suspect an oil tanker? Well, the SBU suspected, and they did something about it. But here's where this story gets really interesting, because according to Russian military bloggers, there were casualties from the Qendil strike. 2 killed, 7 wounded, and one of the dead may have been General Andriy Averyanov. If you don't know that name, you should. Media sources call Averyanov Putin's personal saboteur. He's been linked to some of the most notorious Russian intelligence operations in recent years. The poisoning of Sergei Skripal in the UK, organizing explosions at ammunition depots across the European Union, and possibly connected to the plane crash that killed Yevgeny Prigozhin. Averyanov is, or was, a key figure in the GRU, Russia's military intelligence. Specifically, in their sabotage operations unit. If Russia needed something blown up or someone eliminated abroad, his unit handled it. Now, I need to be clear here. The information about Averyanov's death comes from Russian military bloggers and social media sources. There's no official confirmation. The Russian government certainly isn't going to announce it, and Ukrainian authorities haven't confirmed it either. But the fact that his name is being connected to this incident tells us something important. What was a high-ranking GRU general allegedly doing on an empty oil tanker in the Mediterranean? Social media speculation suggests he might have been overseeing shadow operations and spy networks, using the shadow fleet not just for surveillance, but as a mobile command center for Russian intelligence operations in the region. Think about it tactically. An oil tanker moves freely through international waters. It can approach coastlines, dock in foreign ports. Nobody pays much attention because it's just another commercial vessel. Except it's carrying intelligence operatives, surveillance equipment, and potentially coordinating sabotage operations across Europe. It's actually brilliant until someone figures it out. And Ukraine figured it out. The SBU source quoted in the article was direct. The aggressor state must understand that Ukraine will not stop and will strike at any point in the world, wherever the enemy may be. That's not rhetoric, that's operational doctrine. Ukraine has declared Russian military assets legitimate targets globally if they're contributing to the war effort, and they've demonstrated they have the capability to follow through. So let's recap what just happened. Ukraine conducted a precision strike on a Russian vessel 2,000 kilometers from its territory. That vessel was part of a shadow fleet being used for intelligence and sabotage operations in European waters. And a general allegedly responsible for Russian sabotage across Europe may have been killed in the operation. This isn't just about one tanker. This is about Ukraine systematically exposing and dismantling Russian intelligence infrastructure that's been operating in plain sight for years. The spider web on water. That's what they're calling it. And it's an accurate description. Ukraine's been spinning an intelligence web across international waters, and Russia's shadow fleet keeps sailing right into it. Western intelligence documented it. CNN reported it. And now Ukraine's acted on it. Here's why this matters for everyone watching. Ukraine isn't just defending its borders. They're actively degrading Russian military and intelligence capabilities at a distance. They're forcing Russia to defend assets globally, not just on the front lines. That's strategic depth. And it's exactly what makes supporting Ukraine a smart investment for countries concerned about Russian aggression. Russia thought oil tankers would give them cover for spy operations. They thought the Mediterranean was too far for Ukraine to reach. They thought a GRU general would be safe coordinating sabotage from international waters. They were wrong on all counts. That's the war update. If this changed how you see this conflict, subscribe, share it, and let us know your thoughts in the comments. Stay informed. See you next time.